Well, we got a good idea about how this guy's brain works when he did The Sound of Music as Pink Floyd.
Dr. Gonzo is a unique performer for sure. He's on musical stages as often as comedy ones.
Yeah, back at the Funny Bone this weekend, Dr. Gonzo. Good to see you, Doc.
Hey.
Mike,
You
Mary,
didn't bring
good
the
to see
guitar.
you.
Mary's been talking about this all week.
Yeah,
I
well,
hope
she's
he
going to have
brings
to come see the guitar now.
Because you do have it in Omaha.
It's locked up in the green room right now as we speak.
I get it. You've been in there hanging out with Jane Seymour, giving her a hard time.
Yeah, she's doing pretty good.
You
I
didn't
keep telling her, I go, you got something right here. What?
Welcome, yeah. Welcome to Omaha, Jane.
Welcome to Omaha, Jane. This guy.
What have you been up to lately? We haven't talked. It's been a while since you've been in Omaha.
I've been traveling quite a bit. I just went out to San Francisco and got to see a bunch of my friends. We did a big, we do Comedy Day in Golden Gate Park every year, and it was the 36th year this year. And it's always fun because I get to see all my friends in one place that I started doing comedy with. And,
Your friends are different than our friends. So when you say your
my
friends,
my
who
friends
are you on
are,
stage with?
Well, that's the Will Durst, who's a political comic. He's a good friend of mine. He was there. Rick Overton, who's been in a ton of movies, was there. Diane Amos, who's the Pine Sol lady. You see her in all the commercials.
Right.
Just a bunch of friends, and it just had a blast. And I kind of did a little swing playing all these different clubs, and I got to see a lot of friends of mine that had moved out west years ago that I hadn't seen for a long time. We played some music together and had fun.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, outside the comedy circle, how tight you guys kind of are, and how you get to so many other comics. And
yeah, and we're a real tight family. I just lost a good comic friend about 2 weeks ago, and it just devastated all of us because we're like family. It's like losing an uncle or a cousin, and so we joke, and the good thing is we've got a lot of YouTube clips and audio that we can always kind of revisit our friends that we missed. Robin Williams was a close friend, and Robin was great, and he was always part of Comedy Day, and he basically kept it alive financially for a lot of years. And it's like we call it our company picnic.
Well, he lived out there, right?
Robin that was his home. Yeah, and when I first started doing comedy, I got my first headline gig at the Holy City Zoo, which is just a dump, but it was our home. It's where we started, and it's just a really small room. And I remember that the first night I was headlining, I was so excited and had a pretty good crowd. And then Robin walked in about halfway through my set. And I was like, I just looked at him like, oh man, because everybody's like, oh, Robin's here. And he looked at me and he jumped on stage with me, and I went, okay, because I'm not one that kind of riffs like most comics do. So I had my guitar, and so he goes, like, give me a bouncy C or something. So I played something, and he just started jamming to it. So I just kept changing song styles, and he kept jamming along with me.
God.
Do you have a video of it?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think video was invented back then. It was quite a while back, but from that moment on, we became friends, which was really nice. And then I was in Des Moines one time, back visiting friends. I went to Drake years ago, and a friend of mine said, hey, Robin's playing at the Civic Center, so he had an extra ticket, so we went. And after the show, we were outside and waiting for him to come out, and he came out, and of course everybody kind of mobbed him, and his wife at the time, Valerie, goes, Gonzo, and he goes, Gonzo, and he just kind of ran to me like, get me out of here, And so we're walking down the street, and the next thing you know, he's in the car with me, and I took him over to my friend's house, and they kind of went like this when we walked.
Robin Williams.
Yeah, and then my mom was all impressed because I was borrowing my mom's car at the time. He was in my car. I go, yeah, he sweats a lot, but it was just a lot of fun. And
what precious memories.
Oh, it's been great. And I love coming into Omaha. When the club was on 114th Street, I started there a long time ago, and Colleen's just been great to us. And the staff's always great, and working with Craig this week, we're just going to have a great time.
And the fans.
Oh, the fans
You've got
are fun.
A great base here, don't you?
Yeah, people just keep coming back, wanting to see me again, and it's kind of neat because they go, man, I saw you in '94, and I'm like, '94, what was I doing in '94, But yeah, it's fun. I still do the music in and out of the act, keep showing them something shiny every
Just to
once in a while.
clarify, you're not a doctor, are you? Did
No.
you go to medical school?
My dad was a doctor, and he always wanted a doctor in the family, so I started calling myself Dr. Gonzo, and he goes, you have to earn that title. I go, I make house calls. I make people feel good. What else
Right.
am I supposed
Laughter
to
is the
do?
best medicine.
Oh,
We've all
it is.
heard that.
It is. And it was fun growing up in a small town with a doctor for a father because people don't get injured during office hours, so people come to our house bloody all the time, and my job was to stall them out at the door till my dad got there because he was kind of slow, and I'd be going, you're going to lose that nail. Some guy with a big nail through his thumb, and then I'd watch him stitch people up, and my dad would smoke and while he's stitching people up, and the guy'd be looking at the ash, looking at the cut, looking at the ash, and then the ash would fall in the cut.
Oh, great.
I learned that cigarette ashes were sterile when I was 5 years old. That was pretty interesting. So,
what came first for you, music or comedy?
music when I was a kid, because when the Beatles came out, Mom, I gotta have a guitar. Mom, I gotta have a guitar. And I drove her nuts until she took me to Sears and got me a cheap guitar. And I taught myself how to play. And then when I moved to San Francisco, I went out to play music, and there were all these great musicians playing on the street corners. Going, man, if they can't get inside, how am I going to get inside? And then I fell into a comedy club, and the band I had back in Iowa when I was going to Drake. About the fourth set, a lot of drinks in you. It's hard to remember words, so I'd make up words as we went along. So that's how I kind of started writing parodies.
And you get a rise out of the crowd, and you figure, like,
oh,
this
they're having a
thing
great time.
works.
I'm going, hey, this worked out. And then what was great about doing comedy is I didn't have to split the money with the band. And you're not married to 4 or 5 other people, and arguing about who's going to tear the drum set down tonight. Where is the drummer? Nothing against drummers, except everything. I'm not a big drummer fan, but yeah, it's been fun. And then I, trying to find work at that time, I started calling rock and roll clubs and said, hey, I'd like to open for this band. And they go, hey, you're cost effective.
And
you're
some
saving us
really
money.
awesome, ultimately, like some of the biggest acts in America.
Man, it was great. I was telling somebody the story last night about I was working with Stevie Ray Vaughan, doing some shows with him, and it was during the World Series. We did a sound check one afternoon. I'm in the backstage, and I'm watching the World Series with Chris and Tommy, his other bandmates, and we're really enjoying the game. And then Stevie walks in, flips it to Gilligan's Island. These guys walk away, and I'm like going, they don't get off the island. I've seen this episode. I'm sure he's like, oh, yeah. You can tell he didn't care about sports, but definitely cared about the guitar.
Well, Dr. Gonzo is at the Funny Bone all weekend. 2 shows tonight, 2 shows tomorrow, and Sunday as well. And you will have the guitar with you on stage this
Definitely,
weekend.
definitely.
Such a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, it's good to see
Thank
you
you
again.
for
My
coming
pleasure.
back.
And I'm glad you guys are still on there and doing fine.
We're still here.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Us too.
Yeah, I bet.
Us too.
We all
You
are.
never
We're all
know
happy to
about
be working.
3 of the Omaha firefighters in